Arise, awake, stop not until your goal is achieved. Take up one idea, make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, and live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea. And just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. That is the way great spiritual giants are produced.
Ramakrishna Mission, an organization started in 1897 by Swami Vivekananda, is known for its humanitarian activities. The organization gives practical shape to the teachings of his Guru, Sri Ramakrishna, serving the human beings irrespective of caste, creed, color, or religion, while looking upon them as divine. At present, there are 173 branches of Ramakrishna Math and Mission spread all over the world. The headquarters is at Belur Math, District Howrah, West Bengal. Vadodara, the city, both industrial and cosmopolitan. Vadodara is known as the cultural capital of Gujarat. This is one city that cares excessively for culture. Vadodara is more inclined to art and tradition. They have preserved the ancient art and craft techniques and still practice them with great determination. The spirit of Vadodara is quite visible from the varied fairs and festivals celebrated. Amongst the hustle and bustle of the city, there are countless spiritual retreats worth a deco for their uniqueness. One of them being Ramakrishna Mission, where only peace and tranquility prevails. Before going to the USA to participate in the Chicago Parliament of Religions, Swami Vivekananda had travelled all over India as a parivrajaka for about 3 years, out of which perhaps the longest period was spent in Gujarat. After visiting many places in Gujarat, he finally came to Vadodara in April 1892 and stayed as a guest of Sri Manilal Ji. The historic Dilaram Bungalow, sanctified by the stay of Swami Vivekananda as a guest of then Diwan of Vadodara in 1892, was formally handed over by the government of Gujarat to the Ramakrishna Mission on the auspicious Ram Navami day of Monday, 18th April 2005. The Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Narendra Bhai Modi, handed over the keys of the historic Dilaram Bungalow with the official documents to Srimad Swami Atmasthananda Ji Maharaj, Vice President, Ramakrishna Math.
મિત્રો, સ્વામી વિવેકાનંદજીએ રામકૃષ્ણ મિશનની સ્થાપના કરીને આ વિચારને વ્યવસ્થાના રૂપમાં પલટ્યું. વિવેકાનંદજી વિચાર છોડીને જતા રહ્યા નહીં, ઉપદેશ આપીને જતા રહ્યા એવું નહીં. રામકૃષ્ણ મિશન માધ્યમથી એમણે એક પરંપરા વિકસાવી, જે પરંપરા જનસેવા તે પ્રભુ સેવાના માર્ગે વરેલી છે. આટલા વર્ષોના લાંબા કાલખંડે અને વિવેકાનંદજી દ્વારા પ્રસ્થાપિત આ વ્યવસ્થા આજે પણ એના માર્ગમાંથી જરા પણ વિચલિત થયા વગર જનસેવાના કાર્યની અંદર અગ્રીમ હરોળમાં છે. મિત્રો,
આજે ખરેખર ખૂબ આનંદનો દિવસ છે. અંગ્રેજીમાં જેને કહેવાય થ્રાઇસ બ્લેસડ ડે. ત્રિગુણાત્મિક રીતે, ત્રેવડી રીતે આ ધનની દિવસ છે. કેમ? નંબર 1, રામનવમી. ભગવાન રામ આજના દિવસે આ પૃથ્વી પર એમણે અવતરણ કર્યું, એવો શ્રી રામનવમીનો શુભ દિવસ. બીજું, આજના દિવસે આપણા માનનીય મુખ્યમંત્રી શ્રી રામકૃષ્ણ મિશનને એ ઐતિહાસિક દિલારામ બંગલો સુપ્રત કરી રહ્યા છે, કે જે ઐતિહાસિક બંગલામાં સ્વામી વિવેકાનંદજીએ એપ્રિલ 1892માં કેટલાય દિવસો સુધી ત્યારના દિવાન મણિલાલ જસભાઈ એમના અતિથિ રૂપે તેઓ રહ્યા હતા. અને ત્રીજો આનંદનો દિવસ કે આજના દિવસે રામકૃષ્ણ મઠ અને મિશનનું જે રામકૃષ્ણ મઠ મિશનના અત્યાર સુધી આજના દિવસ સુધી 159 શાખા કેન્દ્રો છે. 159 branches of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission.
We are proud to celebrate the 10th anniversary of this center this year. This bungalow has been handed over to the Ramakrishna Mission for converting it into a befitting memorial of Swami Vivekananda. And a new branch center of Ramakrishna Mission has been started, named as Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Memorial, Vadodara. Swami Nikaleshwarananda is the head of Vadodara Center of Ramakrishna Mission. Before coming to Vadodara, he was the head of Porbandar Center for 8 years. He toured extensively preaching the universal message of Vedanta in industrial houses, management institutions, and educational institutions all over the world, preaching the character-building message of Swami Vivekananda, and has conducted training programs on stress management, productivity through holistic management, management of mind, total personality development, women empowerment, happiness and peace in everyday life, mind, medicine and meditation, management of everyday life, and many such programs.
Our Indian youth today are blindly imitating the Western materialistic culture and blindly imitating the Western youth, and unfortunately, they are seeing with their own eyes how the Western youths are having frustration in their mind, how much they are going after suicides, they are ending up in mental hospitals, they are becoming schizophrenic, and yet our youths want to have blind imitation of Western materialistic culture and Western youths. Swami Vivekananda said, what we want is Western science coupled with Vedanta and Indian culture. He was not dogmatic. He said, let us have good things from all over the world. Let us keep our doors and windows open.
Activities by Ramakrishna Mission Vadodara Center.
मुख्य यहाँ का जो कार्य है वह है वैल्यू एजुकेशन, मूल्यनिष्ठ शिक्षा. उसके अंतर्गत नियमित रूप से कई कार्यक्रम चलते हैं, जैसे बालकों के लिए प्रतिदिन संध्या, प्रतिदिन शाम को लगभग 100 बच्चे आते हैं, उनको दूध और नाश्ता दिया जाता है, साथ साथ में बहुत अच्छी कहानियाँ सुनाई जाती हैं, उनको विभिन्न प्रकार की ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है ताकि वे एनलाइटन सिटीजन बन सकें, वे एक प्रबुद्ध नागरिक बन सकें हमारे देश के. इसके लिए उनको देशभक्ति के गीत, साथ साथ में भजन, ध्यान, योगासन, ये सब सिखाया जाता है बच्चों को.
With the motive to help poor students by way of meeting cost of books, uniforms, tuition fees, a permanent fund has been created, particularly for students who because of poverty are unable to pursue their studies.
एक यूथ स्टडी सर्कल है जिसमें कि युवकों को चरित्र निर्माण की शिक्षा दी जाती है. स्वामी विवेकानंद का स्वप्न था चरित्र निर्माण के द्वारा राष्ट्र निर्माण और राष्ट्र निर्माण के द्वारा विश्व निर्माण. वो स्वामी विवेकानंद के स्वप्नों को सार्थक करने के लिए ये यूथ स्टडी सर्कल है, जहाँ पर प्रति रविवार को सुबह ये लोग आते हैं, स्वामी विवेकानंद के जीवन संदेश के बारे में चर्चा करते हैं और फिर कुछ कुछ सेवा का कार्य भी अपने जीवन में करके, वो सेवा का कार्य करके अपने जीवन में शांति का अनुभव करते हैं.
Previously personnel department has assumed great significance. What type of etiquettes and manners? Hello, how are you? Fine, thank you.
Programs of value education are arranged from time to time for managers, executives, teachers and students in ashram premises, educational institutions and industries.
Confidence, I can do it. Who will offer? You are, the both of you. Settle down. Who will offer? Okay? Confidence, I can do it. That what you have to think that you are Swami Vivekananda. Every young fellow is a Swami Vivekananda. Okay?
Youth Study Circle for boys and Bal Sanskar Kendra classes are held every week.
मेरा नाम शेख तमसीन है। मैं 9th स्टैंडर्ड में पढ़ती हूँ। यहाँ हर संडे बाल संस्कार केंद्र होता था। उसमें से हमें बहुत कुछ सीखने मिला है। उसमें हमने भगवत गीता और प्रार्थना कराई जाती थी, योगासन कराए जाते थे। 6 महीने पहले यहाँ भगवत गीता के श्लोका कंपटीशन था, उसमें मैंने भाग लिया था। उसमें मुझे प्राइज़ भी मिला था। स्थित प्रज्ञ सखा भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितधि किं प्रभासेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम।
मेरा नाम चिंतन राजेंद्र भाई परीख है। मैं रामकृष्ण मिशन विवेकानंद मेमोरियल में वॉलंटियर हूँ। मैं यहाँ पे सन 2011 से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ। उसके बाद मेरे हाथ में एक बुक आई अराइज अवेक, वो मैंने पढ़ी। उसके बाद मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस धीरे धीरे, मुझे लगा कि मेरे अंदर कुछ बढ़ रहा है, मुझे कुछ कॉन्फिडेंट हो रहा हो ऐसा। लेकिन मेरा कहने का तात्पर्य यही है कि मैं जब यहाँ पे रामकृष्ण मिशन में आया, उसके बाद मैंने जो पढ़ाई की, यहाँ पे आके सेवा की, और यहाँ पे मैं जो अपने लिए तो नहीं, लेकिन जब मुझे स्वामी जी का बहुत ये थॉट अच्छा लगता है कि दूसरे के लिए करो। क्यों? क्योंकि आप जब दूसरे के लिए करोगे तो अपना विकास अपने आप होने लगेगा। मैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी का धन्यवाद करता हूँ कि जो जगह पे स्वामी विवेकानंद खुद रुके थे, उसी जगह को रामकृष्ण मिशन विवेकानंद मेमोरियल वडोदरा को अर्पण किया। जय हिंद।
हम लोग तेजस्वी विद्यार्थियों का सम्मान करते हैं। प्रत्येक वर्ष गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट, जो यूनिवर्सिटी के गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट हैं, उनका भी हम लोग सम्मान करते हैं। और उनको हम ये कहते हैं कि केवल एकेडमिक एक्सेलेंस से नहीं होगा, पर ह्यूमन एक्सेलेंस की बड़ी आवश्यकता है। इस बात पर हम लोग जोर देते हैं।
Programs for felicitation of brilliant students are also held every year, in which the rank holders of Standard 10th and 12th of CBSE and Gujarat State Board are honored by giving them medals, citations and books for the total development of their personality. Excellent students, not necessarily rank holders, but possessing excellent qualities of head and heart, are also being felicitated.
इस प्रकार से ये रामकृष्ण मिशन विवेकानंद मेमोरियल बड़ौदा यह कई लोगों के लिए प्रेरणा का स्रोत बन गया है। कई लोग यहाँ पर नियमित रूप से आते हैं और अपने चरित्र का निर्माण करते हैं, मन में शांति प्राप्त करते हैं और विभिन्न प्रकार से सेवा कार्यों में जुटते हैं।
Guest Arunima Sinha, she will be talking to you in the afternoon, but she is a special person today because I promised her on 23rd January when she came to Baroda to meditate in the room in which Swamiji had stayed in Baroda. She got a lot of inspiration. She told, I want to climb Mount Everest with only one leg, with a plastic leg. I want to climb Mount Everest. I said,
Arunima Sinha, born 1988, is the first female amputee to climb Mount Everest. She is also the first Indian amputee to climb Mount Everest. She was a national level volleyball player who was pushed from a running train by thieves in 2011 while she was resisting them. She was encouraged by her elder brother Om Prakash to climb Everest with a prosthetic leg. which was arranged by raising funds with the help of Ramakrishna Mission Vadodara.
2012 जनवरी में हम बड़ौदा आए थे, तो ग्रीन आइस संस्था की तरफ से बच्चों के स्कूलों में हम इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज और MBBS कॉलेज सारे में गए हुए थे। तो उसी दौरान हम स्वामी जी से भी मिले थे। उसके बाद जब स्वामी जी की बात पता चली कि मैं एवरेस्ट ऐसे जा रही, और यहाँ पे उन्होंने भी मतलब सब कुछ बताया मुझे, और बताया मैंने कि एवरेस्ट में ऐसे मुझे जाना है। पैर की वजह से बहुत, क्योंकि वो पैर पूरी तरीके से खराब हो चुका था। जब मैंने ये बात आपको बताई कि ऐसे मुझे जाना, लेकिन मेरा पैर खराब, आपने कहा पैर की वजह से अगर तुम्हारा एवरेस्ट रह जाए तो ऐसा नहीं होने दूंगा। और हम आगे बढ़ जाते हैं और क्लाइंब करते हैं। और उस दौरान हमने स्वामी विवेकानंद और गुरु जी और माता जी की भी फोटो हम लेके गए थे, रखा, पूजा किया, जो कि ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर, वो बल्कि बार-बार मुझे चिल्ला रहा कि तुम्हारा ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर खत्म हो रहा है।
मेरे लाइफ का सबसे बड़ा सपना पूरा हुआ और मैं टॉप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड पे हूँ और बहुत खुश हूँ और सबको ये मोटिवेशन देना चाहती हूँ कि हर आदमी अगर अपने लक्ष्य को बनाए तो वो कभी नहीं हार माने और वो अपने टॉप को, अपने लक्ष्य को जरूर पाएगा।
Sharma is the first Asian woman and the youngest in the world to set a record in open swimming in Antarctic waters. She swam 1.4 miles in 41.14 minutes at a temperature of 1 degree Celsius. Breaking the record of Linne Cox, USA, and Louis Pugh, Great Britain. Bhakti Sharma has swum in all the 5 oceans of the world. She was awarded the Tenzing Norgay National Adventure Award in 2010.
Watch yourself grow, क्योंकि हम ना सिर्फ फिजिकली बल्कि मेंटली भी हर एक दिन ग्रो करते हैं और ग्रो करना चाहिए। और अगर आप किसी डेस्टिनेशन के लिए काम कर रहे हो, किसी गोल के लिए काम कर रहे हो, तो आप डेफिनेटली हर एक दिन ग्रो करते हो। कल जो आप थे उससे सर्टेन परसेंटेज बेटर आप आज हो। सो व्हाट आई वांट टू बिलीव इज कीप योर आईज ऑन द गोल बट योर हार्ट एंड सोल इन द जर्नी। आपकी आंखें, आपकी निगाहें डेस्टिनेशन पे होनी चाहिए, लेकिन आपका दिल और आपकी आत्मा इस जर्नी में होनी चाहिए।
Zeel Marathe has been awarded National Bravery Award for the year 2014-15 by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. She was also felicitated at Ramakrishna Mission Vadodara by Swami Nikhleshwarananda. She has saved many fellow students from the bus which met an accident. She had displayed immense courage and bravery which helped save many fellow student lives.
मेरा नाम झील जितेंद्र मराठे है और 2010 से मैं रामकृष्ण मिशन वडोदरा से जुड़ी हुई हूँ। रामकृष्ण मिशन वडोदरा से जुड़ने के बाद बहुत सारे चेंजेस मैंने अपने आप में नोटिस किए हैं। जैसे इधर हमको मेडिटेशन प्रैक्टिस करवाते हैं जिससे मेरा कंसंट्रेशन लेवल बहुत इंक्रीज़ हुआ है। स्वामी विवेकानंद की किताबें पढ़ के मुझे एंकरेजमेंट मिला है और मेरा एक्सटर्नल नॉलेज भी इंक्रीज़ हुआ है। 20 फरवरी 2014 को हम स्कूल से पिकनिक गए थे, जिस दौरान आते वक्त हमारी बस का एक्सीडेंट हो गया था और वो बस एक्सीडेंट में कई सारे ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स थे और टीचर्स थे जो बहुत बुरी तरह से इंजर्ड हो गए थे और कुछ स्टूडेंट ऐसे भी थे जो इंजर्ड तो हुए थे पर साथ साथ वो अनकॉन्शियस भी हो गए थे। तो जो स्टूडेंट्स अनकॉन्शियस हुए थे उन लोगों को मैंने टैपरिंग करके कॉन्शियसनेस में रखा और जो दूसरे इंजर्ड स्टूडेंट्स थे जो अनकॉन्शियस नहीं थे उन लोग को 108 पे कॉल किया, 108 एम्बुलेंस आई और उन लोग को रेफरल हॉस्पिटल ले गई। और उस समय ये जो सारा काम था मैंने किया और वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ मैं रामकृष्ण मिशन वडोदरा से जुड़ी हुई थी इसलिए हो सका। रामकृष्ण मिशन वडोदरा में जो स्वामी विवेकानंद की किताबें पढ़ी उससे जो मुझे नॉलेज मिला और इधर जो कंसंट्रेशन प्रैक्टिस करवाते हैं हमको, जिससे मेडिटेशन करवाते हैं, उससे कंसंट्रेशन लेवल बढ़ता है, उसी की वजह से ये सारा हो सका। स्कूल में मैं आधुनिक ज्ञान प्राप्त करती हूँ और यहाँ रामकृष्ण मिशन में मुझे आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान भी मिलता है।
स्वामी विवेकानंद का जन्मदिन 12 जनवरी, जिसको हमारा राष्ट्रीय युवा दिन के रूप में मनाता है, नेशनल यूथ डे के रूप में, वो भी बड़े पैमाने पर मनाया जाता है, जिसमें कि हम लोग बदामड़ी बाग से, जहाँ पर स्वामी विवेकानंद की प्रतिमा है, वहाँ से लेकर विवेकानंद मेमोरियल तक प्रतिवर्ष शोभा यात्रा होती है, जिसमें कई फ्लोट्स होते हैं बहुत सुंदर सजाए हुए, और हजारों विद्यार्थी उसमें उत्साहपूर्वक भाग लेते हैं।
National Youth Day celebration. Swami Vivekananda's birthday is organized in a befitting manner. Various programs for youth, both in mission premises and also in schools and colleges, are arranged for inspiring the youth with the life of Swami Vivekananda.
This conference is being organized as a part of the 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, and this is being celebrated all over the world. Many countries are celebrating, and I am very happy to tell you that Swami Vivekananda delivered his historic speech in the World Parliament of Religion in Chicago in 1893.
Sisters and brothers of America, it fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have accorded on us. I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of the monks in the world. I thank you in the name of the mother of all religions, and I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal tolerance, but we accept all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth.
Inspiring literature is also distributed among the youths.
इसके अलावा यहाँ पर एक मोबाइल मेडिकल यूनिट है जो लगभग 50 किलोमीटर दूर अवस्थित गांव में जाती है प्रत्येक रविवार को डॉक्टर्स एवं पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ के साथ एवं निःशुल्क कई पेशेंट्स की दर्दियों की निःशुल्क चिकित्सा की जाती है। बीच बीच में आई कैंप्स किए जाते हैं, निःशुल्क नेत्र यज्ञ किए जाते हैं और भी कई प्रकार की मेडिकल सर्विसेज चिकित्साएं दी जाती हैं।
A mobile medical unit with qualified doctors and paramedic staff conducts medical camps in villages in and around Vadodara. Treatment and even medicines are given free of cost to the poor and needy patients.
इसके अलावा यहाँ पर 4 प्रदर्शनियों की योजना की गई है, जिसमें से एक प्रदर्शनी है जिसमें स्वामी विवेकानंद के विभिन्न प्रकार के फोटोग्राफ्स जो उनके जीवित काल में लिए गए थे, लगभग 74 फोटोग्राफ्स, उसमें से चुने हुए फोटोग्राफ्स, उसके साथ उसका इतिहास। इस एग्जीबिशन का प्रारंभ भी 18 अप्रैल को माननीय तत्कालीन मुख्यमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के द्वारा हुआ था।
A permanent exhibition on photographs of Swami Vivekananda was inaugurated by Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of India, in the holy presence of Srimad Swami Atmasthananda Ji Maharaj, President Ramakrishna Math and Mission. Pictorial exhibitions on the life and teachings of Shri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Shri Sharada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda are also drawing visitors.
यहाँ पर एक बहुत बड़ा पुस्तकालय है, वह आम जनता के लिए खुला हुआ है, जिसमें लगभग 20,000 पुस्तकें हैं, साथ साथ में 1,000 DVD हैं, जिनको लोग अपने घर ले जा सकते हैं 15 दिन के लिए, बाद में इसको रिन्यू भी करा सकते हैं, जिसमें अंग्रेजी, हिंदी, गुजराती, बंगाली, संस्कृत आदि भाषाओं की पुस्तकें हैं।
A public library has been started containing books on management, science, religion, philosophy, psychology, self-development, and various other topics in English, Hindi, and Gujarati language.
एक बुक स्टॉल भी यहाँ पर है। रामकृष्ण विवेकानंद भावधारा एवं वेदांत के संबंधित पुस्तकें जो कि रामकृष्ण मिशन के विभिन्न प्रकाशन केंद्रों से प्रकाशित होती हैं, वे सब पुस्तकें, फोटोग्राफ्स, सीडीज, ये सब भी यहाँ पर उपलब्ध होती हैं, जिसको कि यहाँ पर जो पर्यटक आते हैं वे घर ले जा सकते हैं, वहाँ से खरीद सकते हैं।
To enable the people to get the peace of mind and to acquaint them with character building message of Swami Vivekananda, audio video CDs and books related to meditation, self-development, Vedanta, yoga and other subjects are sold in the sales counter.
इसके अलावा जब भी कोई आपत्ति होती है तो उस समय रामकृष्ण मिशन की परंपरा के अनुसार हम तुरंत उस राहत कार्य करते हैं।
Whenever there is a disaster like floods, droughts, cyclone, earthquake, anywhere, the monks and volunteers of Ramakrishna Mission rush to the affected areas and start primary relief work immediately for the poor and needy sections of the society, which is sometimes followed by rehabilitation works like construction of houses, school, community centers, and water tanks. Extensive relief work was carried out by this center for flood-affected people of Vadodara and Surat districts when there was a heavy rain and subsequent flood during last few years. Food packets, food grains, utensils, tarpaulin sheets, blankets costing approximately 50 lakhs were distributed.
एक ऐतिहासिक दिलाराम बंगलो अब ये प्रेरणा का स्रोत बन गया है। वहाँ पर ध्यान कक्ष है, प्रार्थना भी वहीं पर होती है। प्रतिदिन संध्या को यहाँ प्रार्थना होती है, प्रवचन भी होते हैं, विभिन्न प्रकार के आध्यात्मिक सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम होते हैं, विभिन्न प्रकार की जयंतियाँ यहाँ मनाई जाती है। विश्व के सभी धर्म गुरुओं की जयंती यहाँ मनाई जाती है। क्रिसमस ईव सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है। साथ साथ में श्री कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी, रामनवमी आदि कई का त्यौहार यहाँ पर मनाए जाते हैं इसी प्रार्थना मंदिर में।
Lectures are organized in the ashrama premises as well as outside of the ashrama in various organizations for preaching the universal message of Vedanta as exemplified in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi and Swami Vivekananda. Celebration of birthdays of holy personalities of the world religions, Sri Ram Navami, Sri Krishna Janmashtami, Sri Durga Ashtami, Buddha Jayanti, Christmas Eve,
और हमारी भविष्य की योजना में हम चाहते हैं कि और भी लोग देश विदेश से यहाँ पर आएं और प्रेरणा प्राप्त करें। तो यहाँ पर एक हम लोग म्यूज़ियम बनाना चाहते हैं और बहुत सुंदर वो म्यूज़ियम बनेगा। ऐसी हमारी इच्छा है कि स्वामी विवेकानंद का सारा जीवन संदेश का पूरा भाग उसमें आ जाएगा और भारतीय संस्कृति की भी झलक उसमें सब लोगों को मिलेगी। इस प्रकार का सुंदर एक म्यूज़ियम हम लोग यहाँ बनाना चाहते हैं और ये बहुत सारी प्रवृत्तियों को भी और भी हम एक्सपांड करना चाहते हैं, उसका और भी विकास करना चाहते हैं। तो इन सब के लिए हमें आप सबका सहयोग अपेक्षित है। आप सब यहाँ पर अवश्य आएँ, यहाँ से लाभ उठाएं और वही स्वामी विवेकानंद का संदेश ही हम अंत में याद करना चाहेंगे। स्वामी विवेकानंद ने कहा था, उठो जागो लक्ष्य प्राप्ति तक रुको मत। तो हम लोग भी आगे बढ़ रहे हैं अभी रुकने वाले नहीं है, क्योंकि लक्ष्य बहुत दूर है। भले बहुत दूर है, सभी विश्व के कल्याण की कामना से यह शुरू हुआ है, पर हम लोग निश्चित रूप से उस दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। Respected Sri H.S. Patel Sahab, the former Municipal Commissioner of Vadodara Municipal Corporation and at present the Additional CEO of Disaster Management Authority, Gandhinagar, Srimati Tejalben Mehta, the Chairperson of Navrachna Education Society, Shri Sharad Sagar, the internationally acclaimed speaker, all the dignitaries present here, dear friends, it's a great pleasure welcoming you all to this special event organized by Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Memorial Vadodara. We are extremely thankful to Shri Sharad Sagar to accept our invitation at such a short notice. When I came to know that he is coming to Gujarat, I immediately told that you had promised on 12 January 2017 at Surat, when we accidentally met. I thought it was for the first time, but he says no, it was for the second time. But anyway, when I met him, I said, when you come to Gujarat next time, you must come to our ashrama. He's gladly told he will do that. And so he is here with us. So on behalf of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Memorial Vadodara, I extend a very warm welcome to Shri Sharad Sagar. I also extend a very warm welcome to C.H.S. Patel Sahib. Incidentally, he is here in Baroda, though he was here he was the municipal commissioner, as you know, and he was a great help to us in various of our problems related to the ashrama. He was so helpful. And now that he is in Gandhinagar, he was incidentally here, so we are taking that privilege of inviting him. So we extend a very warm welcome to Sri Patel Sahib also. We extend a very warm welcome to Srimati Tejalben Amin. As you know, she doesn't need any introduction in Baroda. Everybody knows her. What an amount of innovative work she is doing in the field of education through Navratna University, Navratna Education Society. And not only that, she is involved in so many other programs. Many of you may be knowing about the marathon and may be involved in marathon, so many other social activities. In fact, name one activity where she is not involved, rather than telling which activity she is involved. So she is well known to Baroda, but I would like to give another introduction, that her father-in-law, Sri Nanubai Amin, was very intimately connected with Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement, and from last 40 years, they have been helpful. The whole family has been very helpful to us in various ways, and we have a very deep relationship. Her husband Rahul Bhai Amin is still the member of the managing committee, and they are all active supporters of Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement. So much so that before 12 years, all the monks of Ramakrishna Mission who came to Baroda, including me, I used to come from Rajkot that time, or from Porbandar, or any monk who came from Belumat or any part of the world, the only place they would be accommodated is Jyoti Guest House. That was our shelter house. So we have a very close relationship with Tejalben Amin, and I'm very happy that she is here. We extend a very warm welcome to Tejalben Amin. I extend a warm welcome to all of you. Most of you have been visiting us, but some of you are new, coming perhaps for the first time. I would like to tell you that this is a great place. The historic Dilaram Bungalow. This hall is new. That's all. The whole bungalow that is it was in a very dilapidated condition. The historic Dilaram Bungalow, in which Swami Vivekananda himself stayed as the guest of the then Diwan Manibhai Jashbhai, was handed over by the government of Gujarat to Ramakrishna Mission for converting into a befitting memorial of Swami Vivekananda. Shri Narendra Modi, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, himself personally came on 18th April 2005 and handed over the bungalow. It was in a dilapidated condition. At the cost of rupees 1 crore, we have renovated the building, keeping the old features intact. And many activities have been started, value education programs for the students, for the parents, for the teachers, and slum development project. Just now you might have seen down below, downstairs, so many children from slum. They are coming every day evening. They are given nutritious food. Along with that, spiritual food in the form of yoga, meditation, and prayer, and also intellectual food, and also coaching classes. So that is for slum development project. Then Bal Sanskar Kendra every Sunday, youth study circle every Friday, and apart from that, many youth convention, youth programs, and our regular activities like mobile medical unit. We have a book section, a beautiful library, about 20,000 books, 1,000 DVDs, open to the public. So all these activities have been started, keeping in view Swami Vivekananda's message of worshipping God in human beings, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion, and nationality. So I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Now, before we start, I would request all the guests present here on the dais to ignite the lamp of light and inaugurate this seminar. Please. as a token of our love and appreciation, we would like to offer bouquet of flowers to all the three eminent guests here on this day.
कल फियरलेस के ऊपर बोला, आज फियरलेस आ गया हमारा।
Most of you would have gone through the biodata of Sri Sharad Sagar. It was circulated through WhatsApp also, on internet, and also we have get the invitation card. But maybe some people may not have got it, so I would just like to read out the shortened biodata of Sri Sharad Sagar. Sri Sharad Sagar is the founder and CEO of Dexterity Global. Recognized for innovation in democratizing education and building sustainable impact enterprises, Sharad was included in the Forbes 30 under 30 global list and remains the highest ranked Indian on the list of world's 100 most powerful young entrepreneurs. For his dedicated work and vision for over a decade now, Sharad has been mentioned, recognized and honored internationally. In October 2016, Sharad was invited by the then US President Barack Obama to the White House. A multiple United Nations awardee and a Rockefeller 100 Next Century Innovator, Sharad is quoted globally by influential leaders, corporates, universities, newspapers, and media houses. In 2015, Sharad became one of the youngest entrepreneurs to find a place in the Entrepreneurship Syllabus of the Michigan State University, one of the top 100 US universities. Later that year, he found a mention in Government of Taiwan's School Impact Agenda at the Social Enterprise World Forum in Milan, Italy, alongside Bill Drayton, the father of social entrepreneurship. A graduate of Tufts University, Sharad broke all major records in entrepreneurship and leadership at the institution and was the first Indian ever in the recorded history of the institution to deliver the graduation speech at Tufts University, a speech that received a long, rousing standing ovation from over 4,000 people at the ceremony and has gone viral across the world as one of the greatest graduation speeches ever made. Sharad is a widely followed youth icon, has over around 500,000 followers on social media. Not surprisingly, he was one of the first and youngest CEOs to be awarded a verified badge by both Twitter and Facebook. Sharad declined a master's admission offer from Harvard University. Declined in May 2016 and returned to India to continue working with children and youth. That is the greatness of this great Indian youth. People are going mad after getting admission for Harvard. He rejected that admission just to work for poor children here in India. That is the spirit of love for India that he has developed by coming in contact with Ramakrishna Mission, coming in contact with the books of Swami Vivekananda. As I told you, I met him for the first time, according to me, on 12 January 2017 at Surat in a program where he was felicitated by an organization on Swami Vivekananda's birthday. But I was surprised to find in his speech he said that I am meeting him for the second time. And when he met me for the first time, he was only 5 years old boy. So you listen to him firsthand what happened in the first meeting. So that is how, right from the age of 5 years, he is connected with Ramakrishna Vivekananda ideology. With the result, he is thinking so much for the nation. He is thinking so much for producing leaders in India so that India can go forward, and that the dream of Swami Vivekananda, that India will become so great that its past glory will fade into insignificance. That particular thing. And Swami Vivekananda said India shall conquer the world by its spiritual culture. That has to be done. And I think the youngsters are a sign that that day is coming, is not far away from this day. And we are very much hopeful, we are very optimistic. So we accord a very, very hearty welcome to Shri Sharad Sagar. And invite him to give his inspiring speech. Shri Sharad Sagar.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be here today. And when I say that, I mean it. Madam Amin, Mr. Patel, Swamiji, and everybody who's present here today. Thank you so much for taking out time to be here, to listen to a 20-something, not knowing what he's going to talk about, and some of you not even knowing who he is. So thank you so much for coming. This is wonderful. Before I begin talking, let me quickly give you a couple of tidbits which will be helpful in understanding how long back my association with the Ramakrishna Mission and with the larger ideology goes. My name is Sharad Vivek Sagar, as some of you may have read in the cards that were sent out, as Swamiji said, physically and over the internet. Vivek in my name comes from Swami Vivekananda. When I was born, my father thought that he wanted to name me after two great Indians. The first one was Swami Vivekananda. The second was somebody who actually had a role to play in Swamiji's education. That was Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar. So Sagar from Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, Vivek from Swami Vivekananda, and Sharad because I was born in the winter season. So that's what my name means. So having said that, I am no guest here. I'm pretty much at home, at a place where I've always belonged, at a place that has always inspired me, because I was born in a small village of Bihar. And I hail from Siwan in Bihar, a small place by the name of Jiradei that gave this great nation its first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. I grew up in several small villages and towns of Bihar in the 90s and in the 2000s, when your only relation and your only link with the land of Buddha was through newspapers, where you would read a lot of news items, not so many positive ones. And I grew up pretty much around the same time in the state, when it was known for a lot of things that you would not want any place to be known for. I often say that I'm a 90s child. I was born and brought up around the same time when we opened our economy. I saw us transition into an era of color TV, of the internet, of Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp, and all of you now keep in touch with all these things through either what your children tell you, because I see it is a wonderful audience, a good mix of the young and the not so young, but still very young. So I've, in the last 2 decades, seen us transition as a nation. We have, as an ancient civilization, which was now a modern state, in the last 70 years we've made so much progress, and so much work still needs to be done. In the last 2 decades, this very ancient civilization opened her arms to the rest of the world We invited all countries, all people, and every single individual, corporation, government from all across the world to come and, as we call it today, make in India. People have come and they have made relationships with the food, the culture, the people, with businesses, with governments, but largely with India. Because India, as I see it today, is not just a great nation, it is also a great idea. An idea of confluence of cultures, an idea of excellence, an idea of acceptance, and an idea of continuous striving for all that needs to be done, so that as we rightly talk about the promise of public service or the task of nation building, that every single thing that is wrong today, every single bit of tear or every single bit of suffering that we see in the world today, we have a responsibility to go ahead and fight it out. And if there is a nation best equipped in terms of history, in terms of culture, in terms of tradition, and in terms of the human resource and the human might to help this world transition forward, it is this very nation. So that is largely the India that I've seen in last 20 years. I'm 20-something, as I mentioned. Let's go back and allow me to talk a little bit about my upbringing. So you know a little bit about my name, you know where I was born, where I'm coming from, and you know how I've seen the transition of this great nation through my own eyes. Most of you have been around for longer than I have been, so you've seen even a greater and better part of history. But that's how I see my own journey, and through my own lens, the journey of this nation and the world around. By the time I was 4 or 5 years old, my father, who worked for the State Bank of India and is now happily voluntarily retired, did that last year, he was very, very heavily influenced by the ideology of the Ramakrishna Mission, by everything that Swami Vivekananda did and said. That is his life and his work, heavily inspired by father. So, as I mentioned, I grew up in small towns and villages, and as you would imagine, most of these places did not have good schools or libraries. So me and my 2 siblings, we were homeschooled. So my father would go to the capital city, a beautiful city by the name of Patna. Some of you may have people who you know there. So my father would go to Patna and he would buy books for whichever class he thought we were in, because nobody actually knew which class we were in, and he would bring it to wherever we were in all these small towns, and that's where we would do all our studies and everything. We never went to school. Till the age of 12, I never went to school. My brother and my sister, they did not go to school till class 8 and class 7. So it was when they had to write their board exams that my parents decided that now we'll have to be sent to a school. So they decided to move the family to Patna, and I was in 4th grade then. And as the school told us, because I was a small kid, I wanted to go in 6th grade, but the school said he is too small a kid to go in 6th grade. So I went in 4th grade and started schooling from there. But during this entire time, when there were no quality schools around, my parents did not forget to take us to one very quality place, and that was the Ramakrishna Mission. In Chhapra, it was then known as the Adbhutanand Ashram, Ramakrishna Adbhutanand Ashram. I spent my evenings not in playgrounds, but actually at the ashram. So there would be the entire aarti and everything. I remembered that by heart. I would sometimes fall asleep. Yesterday in Surat, I was telling people this story. Sometimes I would fall asleep in the prayer hall itself while other people would be meditating. And finally I had to be dragged out and taken out by my parents because it would be too late and they would be leaving. So that's where I would always go. And in our drawing rooms and bedrooms, there were no drawing rooms and bedrooms. There was one drawing room, one bedroom. We lived in a very small flat. There were no pictures of sports stars or Bollywood celebrities. There were only quotations of Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramhans, all these pictures and quotations that every single morning we used to do a small trip around the house. So it was literally a cultural tradition that we had developed within the family. Each one of the three of us, the kids, had to go around from drawing room to bedroom to the hall, and everywhere there were quotations pasted. So we had to go around, read each one of those quotations in English and Hindi, somewhere in English, somewhere in Hindi. We would go around, read each one of those, and then complete one trip and come back, sit in the drawing room, start studying. And this is something that I think I've done for an endless number of days. But what it definitely did was that I never had to go out in the society finding where my values stood, finding where my vision was. Because ever since I was a small child, that was the only thing I had heard, only thing I had read, and only thing I had repeated again and again. So that is where I stood as a small child. At the same ashram in Chhapra, when I was around 5 years old, a Swamiji came and he talked about, his book was recently published. He addressed youth in the city. A lot of people showed up. My elder siblings were not so old, but still old enough that they were given a copy of the book that Swamiji had written. And they took that book and they went to the Swamiji who had come, and they got an autograph on the book. I was a small kid, 5-year-old. I was neglected. Nobody gave me the book. So I took a piece of paper from my Hindi notebook, folded it 3 folds so that it looked like a flat label kind of a thing. And I went to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, हमको आपका autograph चाहिए और आशीर्वाद चाहिए. I need your autograph and I need your आशीर्वाद. So Swamiji quickly gave me his autograph on that sheet of paper in red, and I went back and I kept that autograph in a file, and I said that all the certificates that I will win in my life, I'll keep it in this file. That Swamiji was Swami Nikleshwaranandji Maharaj. So, and then we moved from Chhapra to Patna, and around 2002, I went to school for the first time in my life. All this time I had only imagined what a big city looks like, what a good school looks like. And when I went to school, I became an outstanding student because I had already learned everything that was being taught in school, and I would always be cracking jokes, telling stories, so I was always standing out of the class. My teachers would just send me out of the class. Somebody got the joke. So I was always standing out of the class, so I was outstanding in that way. The other outstandingness came in that I come from that cultural background, that family that most of you come from, where if Bhaiya can do it, you can do it. If Didi can do it, you can do it. So that's the way I was taught. If Bhaiya was learning something, I had to learn it. If Didi was learning something, I had to learn it. My parents didn't realize that my Bhaiya was learning what was supposed to be taught in grade 6, not in grade 4. Or what was supposed to be taught in grade 7, not in grade 4. So by the time I went to school, I had almost learned most of the stuff that was being taught in 4th grade. So I had a lot of hand. This entire period when I was homeschooled, besides reading good books that heavily included books of Swami Vivekananda, Naya Bharat Gadho, ऐसी different books, a lot of books like these in English and in Hindi. We had complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and we were supposed to read books on our own. Each one of us would get our own copy. Thankfully, the books are priced very fairly, so my family could afford to do that. Each one of us were given our own copy. We had to underline things that we found very important, and every Sunday we had to read it to our parents. Why every Sunday? Because once we moved to Patna, it was not an easy decision for my family. My parents decided that we would move to Patna with our mother, and my father, who was still posted in rural areas of Bihar, he would continue commuting from there. So Monday early morning, he would go to the bank, and Saturday mid-afternoon, the moment working hours were over, he would rush back to Patna, and Sunday full day he would sit down with us and check with us if we were doing fine, make us read all these things, check with us how our education was going. And that's basically how we grew up once we came to Patna. And in this entire process, as I mentioned, that when I went to school, I had already done most of the work. I had already learned some of those stuff. So I got the opportunity to do other things. And these other things were not just playing games and having fun. It included something that I had religiously done for the last several years. That was, during the entire time when I was being homeschooled, each morning we had to read newspapers, and every time I would see the picture of a kid in the newspaper, I would read what the kid has done. Why is he or she in a newspaper? So I would find out that they won some competition, or they got a scholarship, or they're going to a top university, Harvard, as we heard it. So these universities and these competitions and these conferences that these kids were going to, I would read about that in newspapers. And every time I would read something like that, I would write down two things. One, the competition that they won, and two, the date when the news was published. So that next year, I would come back looking for that competition, hoping that I can compete in the same. So when I came to school, I had one big opportunity, and that was, now I had a school's name attached to my name. So I could compete in a lot of competitions that are not open for those kids who are not in school. So I started competing. In the 8 to 9 years of my schooling, I had the great honor to represent my school, my city, my state, and sometimes my country at major local, national, and international platforms. I participated in quizzes and very deeply cared about issues that were happening around the world that made newspaper reading and reading magazines an important part of what I used to do. I competed in debate competitions that won because I cared to say what I really felt, and at the same time, I realized that was probably the only way I could give any form of expression to what I really would stand for on an issue or in life. So I competed in quizzes and in debates. I competed in Olympiads and in different academic competitions. And by the time I was graduating, I won over 200 different competitions in all these different fields, had the great honor of representing this great nation in over 6 different countries, was a part of major UN children and youth platforms, and by the time I was graduating high school, I was the regional ambassador to UN Asia Pacific, responsible for 47 different countries that came under that zone. So that is what my high school life looked like. Having the opportunity to represent this great nation and myself sometimes at major platforms that mattered. And during this entire journey, I had 2 options. The first option was to be super happy that, oh, I am winning, or to look around and understand what is happening around me. Because I always say this, that our schools do not have 1,000 or 2,000 students. They have 2 students. The same 2 students go for quiz competitions, they go for debate competitions, they go for even singing competitions, they go for the athletic meets. These are the only 2 kids that schools love to put forward. So I was clearly one of the 2 students that my school had. And we have a very bad culture of celebrating 2 kids so much that we leave the other 1,998 kids behind. So being a part of those 2 kids group And largely that one kid, because even my city looked up to me in a very different way, that okay, this kid goes and wins everywhere, and he's going to Japan and South Korea and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So I was everywhere, and people liked it. But the kid that I used to come back and tell my friends stories of how the flight takes off and what happens when turbulence comes midway, what are the hotels like, can you actually bring everything that you get in a hotel back home, so everything. And then I would also talk to them about what we discussed at that competition or conference, what questions were asked, what level of competence was there from kids from other countries. And a lot of times I found out that it was my friends who had very interesting ideas that were so much better than my own, and so much better than anything that I heard at those platforms. And I found myself saying this to me and my friends again and again, that you should have been there. You should have been at that competition. You should have been there in this country. And I asked myself that if my friends are actually so smart, if they have all the interesting ideas, and they work no lesser than I do, and their parents dream no smaller than my parents do, why are they not achieving and competing at the same level as I am? And the answer was, after a little bit of fact-finding, the answer was very clear to me. Not all of them grew up pretty much the same way. And by growing up, I do not mean big dreams and good ideas. I mean that newspaper thing. I spent a very considerable part of my growing up finding opportunities, writing them down, as I mentioned, and then going back to those opportunities again and again. So if I went and competed somewhere, and if I went and won a competition, that was because I knew that that competition existed. My friends did not know that those competitions were there. That is largely the founding principle of the organization that I run today, which is called Dexterity Global, which for the last 8 years has been working with middle school and high school students. And so that's the first part, knowing about opportunities. So I had two options now. One was either to be super happy, as I said, or the second one was do something about it. And the doing something about it part needed action. So around 2008, while I was still in middle school, actually high school, transitioning from middle school to high school, I founded Dexterity Global with the idea that every single child should have a platform where they can come in and compete, where they get to showcase their skills so that, one, their confidence goes up, two, they are noticed by other people who can support them, give them scholarships, let them know about other opportunities that are there for them. So that would be a good idea. So in 2008, after having competed at a lot of platforms, I designed an inter-school competition, and we called it Dexterity 2008. And I personally went from school to school, taking auto rickshaws and cycling to schools. I had created nice letters and signed them myself. And I went and met school principals. And I said, this is an inter-school competition that we'll do in Patna, and I want your students to come in and compete. But here's the difference between this competition and most others. We want you to do an internal competition and identify who your two students are. You cannot directly just send the two kids you have. So that was a nice thing. In the first year, we got 12 schools to participate. 12 schools came in, and indirectly we reached 12,000 students. And this was 2008, and I was probably 15, 16, something like that. And it was a good enough success. It was very inspiring to meet all these kids who were so smart. I was like amazed at looking at the quality that we had in a city as Patna, which was rather neglected at that point in time on the global map. And I met with these students after that on next Sunday. So we did it probably on a Friday or something. On Sunday, I thought I would invite all the finalists and winners to come in and sit down and talk. So we called it Student Parliament. I invited everybody, And a lot of these kids actually showed up, not in their school dress, in their normal casual wear. So they all came down and I said that it was great to have you participate. I'm so proud of everybody that your school principals nominated you forward or you got selected and came here. You need to do something for the society. You need to go out there, and there are so many problems, so you should go and do something about it. And I looked at all their faces, and some of them were very excited, some were a little upset. So we got a conversation going. And I learned in the process that I had an idea, because my larger idea was this with Dexterity at that point in time, that we'll give a platform to everybody who's smart, and then we'll ask them to do something with their smartness. If they can speak well, use their effective public speaking to do something. If they are good at something, current affairs, general knowledge, they should come up with solutions to problems. But that was the point in time when I was introduced to a larger problem myself. And as much as your current yourstory.com and Business Standard articles want to tell you that in one evening somebody was on an evening walk and then saw something and started a company right then, that does not happen. It looks good for a story, but this is what Dexterity's story is. So we thought that every child, we'll just bring smart kids together and ask them to go and engage in public service or community service. But we heard from students, they faced so many problems themselves. The first problem was that as a small child, if you want to do something, you really have to convince your parents why you are doing it, what it is that you're doing, how you will do it, and will your score sheet still look the same? Will you still score the same amount of marks that you're scoring in your exams? And that was too much surety. You could probably get a bank loan with lesser surety than that, then get permission from your parents to do something that was out of the box. And this is pre-startup India. Even if you were 28 and wanted to do something, it was challenging. And even more so when you're in a smaller city. So we said, good, this plan has failed. What do we do about it? So I still left saying that, okay, but you guys enjoyed participating and competing and stuff. And they said, yes, this felt like our own city's inter-school competition. This was a lot of fun. So I said, good enough. Next year, we kept thinking about it, that okay, these kids face a lot of problems themselves. Next year, we went out and invited schools again. And this time, we had 39 schools that came in and participated. This is 2009. Even Horlicks Whiz Kids and Bornvita Quiz Contest, two of the most successful inter-school competitions in the country, did not have 39 schools come in and participate. They would stop at 32 or 33. So that was a big deal. I loved it. And I enjoyed working with students, and students had a lot of fun. And then we asked ourselves a question. And when I say we, it is me and my friends who would work with me on these competitions, and then the entire idea of designing such platforms. And we would give very nice awards, like Best Dressed School Award, Most Disciplined School Award, Best Teacher Coordinator Award. So these were best practices that we had seen from different inter-school competitions that really worked. And we brought these best practices together. So it was a very, very good coming together of students and schools and teachers. And it really inspired good behavior. So 2009, we do this. And right after that, we asked ourselves another simple question. So the reason why I'm telling you this is for two reasons. First is, hopefully in this very own journey that I'm talking about myself a little bit, you as young people who are sitting here can probably get an idea of how to navigate through resources and opportunities in your own life. And those of you who are parents, who have little ones who either have come with you here or are still at home, you can probably go back and guide them a little bit instead of making them your punching bag. Let them navigate, and you can help them do that. So 2009, we do this. 39 schools come in. We reach around 40,000 kids, and we had a lot of fun. But we asked ourselves, will we continue to be an organization that reaches young people once a month or once a year in their school, and that is it? Or do we want to do something more with it? Because we were slowly becoming a serious force. So 2009-2010, the advent of Facebook was on a high, so we started something called Dexters for Earth. And what a better day to talk about it than the World Environment Day in itself. So we started something called Dexters for Earth online, which used to be a small quiz competition, but it was a little different than any other quiz competition. At 8 p.m. every day, there would be a quiz question that we would post on our Facebook page. And this was called Dexters for Earth. So there would be a quiz would be a quiz question, and then we used to give students a green tip. So what was a green tip? A green tip was any small action that you could have taken on that particular day to limit your carbon footprint. So people who are non-starters in the climate change environment field, your carbon footprint is your impact on the climate, to put it in very simple words, the carbon emissions that you do and the negative impact that you have on people. So we had the green tips that we would give out and the quiz questions. And everybody would come in and they competed. And since the time when I was being homeschooled, I loved playing games, that is computer games. And there used to be a leaderboard in computer games. So this person has these many points and you are number 1, number 2, number 3. So we created a leaderboard around that stupid Facebook quiz. And guess what? We had 600,000 people who engaged with all the quiz competitions in 1 month. So everybody loved it. So around 600,000 kids coming in and engaging in some way or the other. The United Nations that year looked around for the most effective use of information and communication technology to engage young people in Millennium Development Goals. What are called Sustainable Development Goals today were called Millennium Development Goals then. And we received the World Summit Youth Award for most effectively using ICT to engage young people, and this was 2011. So by this point in time, we felt we were something serious. We were not just a child's play anymore. We were not just kids coming together trying to do something anymore. So we started out more reaching out. I had just not told my dad that this was something I wanted to do throughout my life. So teachers would tell me this, and I was very encouraged hearing these things. So by 2012, we did something very interesting. We brought a lot of students together, got their feedback and opinion, and we realized that we could not be the organization that continues designing these inter-school competitions in every single city across this country, because there was significant cost attached. When you run an inter-school competition or anything like that, even for a small event, there are costs attached. And to do it in every single city across this country, it would cost us crores of rupees every single year. So we asked ourselves, very simply, and I often say this, Dexterity is not a journey of what we can do. It is also the journey of very honestly understanding and analyzing what we cannot do and still doing it in the best way possible. So, I know some of you want to clap. Thank you for that, but we'll continue talking. So, because I feel bad every time I see that somebody is trying to clap and I just move to the next sentence. I just want to capture a lot in the 1 hour that we have, but hopefully leave you with a good message. So I'd really appreciate it. It's not rude of me that I'm just moving forward. It is just that I want to make sure that I convey as much as I can in the time that I have. So back to that point that we realized we could not be the organization that designs all the opportunities, but there was something cooler that we could have done, which was more important. And that was, and I'll tell you that in one simple example, the most prestigious science competition in the world today is NASA Space Settlement Contest. The kids who win it are celebrated as the next Edisons and Teslas. By the way, Tesla was a big, heavily influenced by Swami Vivekananda. So they were, kids who win the NASA Space Settlement Contest are seen as the next Edisons and Teslas of the world, and they get into MIT and Harvard and they are celebrated like science wizards. There are 200 million kids who are in some school or the other today. Can you guess how many kids participate in NASA Space Settlement Contest? I'll take 5 guesses. So just throw it out real quick. Guess, how many kids must be participating in that competition? How many? Yeah.
You're referring to NASA.
Yeah, NASA Space Settlement Contest. This is for high school students. Imagine how many participate, just guess. 25,000, somebody said 30 lakh. Few more guesses. Few thousand, few lakhs, right? At least 25,000. And when ma'am says that, it's serious, because I know how Baroda sees her now. In last several minutes I've met very few people who are so loved in their city. So that's something that I think all of us would aspire to be someday. So yeah, so ma'am said 25,000. So we'll take that as the lowest possible bar. NASA, you cannot go any lower than that. But guess what? The maximum number of entries that NASA has ever received in a calendar year for NASA Space Settlement Contest is 952 from the entire planet. And then one kid wins it, and we sing praises of that kid everywhere. This is a big problem. Our kids do not perform at big levels, not because they are not competent enough, it is because they are not aware enough. So we changed that with Dexterity. We introduced something called Dex Connect. And as I'm talking, some of you, if you want, you can log on to it right now as well. If you go to dexconnect.org, every single opportunity that is there for middle school and high school kids is live in real time. So right now, Queen Elizabeth has thrown out an essay competition for kids from all across the world, and she would be giving small scholarships to these kids if they win. That opportunity is now known by around 6.5 million kids across this country because Dex Connect exists. So there are a lot of opportunities that are there for kids. Kids don't know about it. So, and we believe if you don't know that an opportunity exists, you don't get that opportunity. So we are changing that with Dex Connect. Dex Connect would not have come forward if we did not realize that we could not be the ones doing everything. We did not know space science or music or technology, as well as leadership or critical thinking or research, those kind of stuff. You have to really identify where can you deliver the most value. So we introduced Dex Connect in 2012 and started giving out media partnerships and allowed people to come in and directly check these opportunities online. And I'm so proud to announce that there are 6.5 million kids who are today connected to Dex Connect. So that was a big achievement for us. Thank you. The second platform, so I'm quickly going to tell you what Dexterity does today. So one is Dex Connect. We connect kids with opportunities. The second part are the inter-school challenges that we actually started out with. Now those are known as Dex Challenges. Dex Challenges are inter-school competitions that help students build their key skill sets. The skill set of critical thinking, research, communication, and leadership. 4 key skills that we envision every single child in this country to have, because these are incredibly important whether you want to be a musician or a member of the parliament. This is as important. So that's where Dex Challenges are. By 2012, 2013, I started meeting a lot of kids all around the country who would tell me that we have an idea. We want to do a tree plantation campaign, or we can code, we want to make apps, we want to start building websites. And they wanted to do a lot of interesting and innovative things. They did not know where to start. And as I say this again and again, this is pre-Startup India. In 2012, if you were a 28-year-old and you wanted to build your own startup or do something of your own, whether a non-profit or for-profit, you didn't know where to go to. Most of us didn't know where to go to. And these kids would come in with the most convincing argument. They said, you were 14, 15 when you started, so let us know how to go ahead. And at Dexterity, we believe in building systems instead of activities. And I'll quickly fill you in on that. An activity is that you walk outside, you see somebody met with an accident, and you donate blood, right? But at that point in time, there are several million accidents that have taken place in the world. You cannot say that by donating blood, you solved the global blood crisis. To do that, you build something like the Red Cross, where there's a back end where people can donate bloods, get their blood cards, those blood bags get kept in a blood bank, On the other end, there are people who need blood, and that transaction takes place. By transaction, I mean need versus the actual thing that needs to be supplied. So that's the system. At Dexterity, it is very easy. By the way, donating blood is important in that case because there it is emergency. Remember, charity is emergency. Charity cannot be a solution. Because if you want to educate a child, you can educate that child for 2 days. We talk about each one, teach one a lot of times. Ever since I was a small kid, I was not a big fan of each one, teach one. I always used to ask this question, that today you are in 12th grade, this is July, you started teaching a kid who's 7 years old. In 8 months' time, you'll go to a college. Who will teach that kid after that? While we expect for our own kids systems like an educational institution, a school, a university, we expect that, okay, other people will be taught by, okay, somebody for a few months, then somebody else for a few months, then somebody else for a few months. That does not solve problems. Unfortunately, in the age of social media, this is how nonprofits or public service is seen. You walk outside, you see a kid, you feed him a samosa, whether you know or not that that kid really wanted a samosa. You take a picture, you post it on Facebook, and you say, so poor kid, fed him samosa, fighting a world hunger. That is definitely one of the ways to do it, but not the way. If you really want to fight world hunger, you need to build a system around that particular thing. So, just to give you another example, this is very important because when I say something like that, and if you do not get the context in which I'm saying this, sometimes I may come off as somebody, oh, what is he talking about? But here's the thing. You want to donate books, and you donate a Resnick Halliday to a kid who's in 5th grade. That does not work. You build a system, just like the blood bank example that I was giving, where books come in on the back end, they get sorted, people come in, request their books online, offline, everybody who needs a certain book packet gets it, right? So 2012, 2013, when these kids were coming to us, we could have simply done this, that we could have told them, okay, you do this, this, and this, and then go ahead and start your own venture or start your own project or start your own campaign. The other option was setting up a system. So we decided to build a school of leadership and entrepreneurship for high school students. And we created something called Dex School, which is known as the Dexterity School of Leadership and Entrepreneurship. We decided we would do it over the summer. We would rent out an entire university campus and turn that into Dex School. Kids will come in, stay with us for 1 week, and then we'll aid them with year-long mentoring online and offline. And here were 3 ways that we proposed we would do it with. First, we designed a curriculum that would help kids build their interpersonal skills, their leadership skills, and then their entrepreneurial skills. So that was the curriculum part. Then we brought practitioners, people who have been there, done that, to come in and teach kids through their own experiences and expertise. And then the third thing that we introduced were challenges. So when kids learned communication, they would do a communication challenge. When they learned leadership, they would do a real-time leadership challenge. And it became a very gamified way of doing things where kids were engaging with content and just enjoying it. At Dexterity, we believe in one thing, and that is, if you're doing something, do it really, really well. As somebody who really cares, as somebody who's a younger brother to a sister who went to Columbia University on a full scholarship and majored in environmental studies and women's studies, I've seen what strong women look like. So I've seen my elder sister, and I believe every single child in this country, no matter who you are, what you look like, whether you are a Shri or a Srimati, whether you check mark M or F on a form, you should have the same opportunities. So one of the things that we do focus on at Dex School a lot is women in leadership. Because we believe that entire 33% or 65% reservation of women into the parliament or women into public offices, that alone cannot solve the problem. Because have we not seen all those states in this country where there's a women reservation in public offices, and the women who actually take up those public offices are wives of people who are already in public office. And that is one more office occupied without intent sometimes and without ability other times. So you actually need young women whose parents have never been into business, whose parents have never been into politics. You need those women to climb up the corporate ladders. You need those women to climb up the political ladders. Because else, we can always show that there are women in leadership. We'll never really have women in leadership. And that is something that we care deeply about. So guess who came in and taught women in leadership to our kids at Dex School? The chief of NASA Women. That is what we're talking about. Because when you actually connect NASA headquarters with a small Dex School classroom in a small part of this country, the girls who are in that classroom do not just hear things and learn things. They look at that lady and they are like, she looks like me. I can do it too. And that is more important than anything else. So that is about Dex School, creating the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs and catching them really young and enabling them move forward and do it. And finally, by 2014, 2015, I started meeting a lot of young people who would come to me and say that I got connected to opportunities using Dex Connect. I believe I have good skill sets. I've gone through the leadership and entrepreneurship program. I want to apply to Harvard. Now, how do I go ahead and apply for the scholarships? When is the timeline? When is the deadline? I want to study this thing, and I really want to do it and come back and return and serve the nation and everything. And we were like, what do we do about it? So, of course, there we could not have told them we are an activity versus systems organization. We, on an activity level, coached 5-6 kids who were going to apply that year. And guess what? These kids ended up winning scholarships worth 2 crores and 3 crores, full scholarships to go to top colleges, and they landed there. And that was a big thing, and we really loved it. But we asked ourselves, should we be really happy that 2 to 3 kids, 3 to 5 kids, who did not have the money to pay for their SAT exams, or who did not have somebody to guide them through the process, we just guided them? Or should we be kind of sad that what would have happened if we did not come in? And that's the reason why we built something called D2C, Dexterity to College. And right now we are piloting it only in Bihar. We've been around for 2 years with D2C. We want to make sure that we test out every single bit of every single thing that we build, so that when we scale it, there are no issues in that scaling. Because remember, public service or social impact needs the same sense of business that you need to have when you're running a telecom company or a computer company. You need to have pretty much the same sense if you want to scale impact, deliver quality, help people be better off through your own products and information and services. So we brought in D2C, and D2C today works in Bihar, enabling young people to transition from high school to college. This is basically what Dexterity is doing today. Over the last 8 years, we have evolved through our 4 platforms. We connect kids with information, we help them build their skill sets, we enable them to grow as leaders and entrepreneurs, and finally transition to college. Why do we do it? We do it because we believe that an India of 2025, an India of 2035, would face challenges that cannot be solved with a 20th century skill set. Your 21st century problems need a 21st century skill set. Skill sets have evolved. Ages have shown us that every single century skill sets evolve. The kind of qualities that you need, the way you need to approach problems. Something definitely traveled through time. You need pretty much the same ability and the same values that somebody had 150 years ago in the name of Vivekananda, where empathy was as important 150 years ago as it remains today. It's just that the most important things, we forget it with time. So let's bring those things back. And then there are important things that we need to introduce. So Dexterity at this point in time is trying to introduce those things and retaining the old values that are so important. So where do we stand in terms of the kids who we work with? I'm so proud to tell you that the net worth of kids who have graduated from Dex School. So when I was studying in the US, I would meet Harvard Business School students who would always brag that this is the net worth of our class. And they actually have very braggable net worths. They have like $82 billion is the net worth of one Harvard Business School class. I'm like, good, some of you should not work. Just ask for money and run on it. So, so we checked, what is the net worth of a Dex School class? Because Dex School right now is a small program. We were bringing in only 40 kids to start with year after year. This year, so 11th, this year's class starts. But we bring in 40 kids, now we have 50 kids coming in. The net worth of the 160 kids who have graduated from Dex School in last 4 years is $1.5 million, which is 9 crores. It's a lot for a teenager, right? This takes into account the revenues that they have generated, or the prizes that they have bagged, or the scholarships that they have earned in their journey as leaders and as entrepreneurs, as young people who want to serve this great nation. With D2C, Dexterity to College, last year, 6 of our kids went to top colleges, bagging scholarships worth 9 million, which was again a big number, coming from a state from where you do not get a lot of positive stories a lot of times. Interestingly enough, that put us in an entirely different league. My own university, I went to the world's first school of international relations, where I studied domestic policy and foreign policy, understood public policy a little better, gauged at world politics, and understood how do you actually use public office to do public service further, because that was something that I thought I could not have learned outside. So it was a great honor going to that university, which was the world's first and arguably the best in doing it. This year, my own university announced a special scholarship that put us in the league with only 2 other individuals and corporations from this great nation. At Stanford, if you are an Indian and if you apply, you get the Reliance Stanford scholarships, because Reliance has a special fund for every single Indian who goes to Stanford. At Cornell, if you are an Indian and if you apply, you get the Tata Cornell scholarships, because Tata has a special fund for all those who are Indians and who apply. At Tufts, if you apply, there's a special scholarship fund called the Dexterity Global Fund at Tufts University that pays your full tuition and allows you to go to school. But guess what's the difference? At Stanford and at Cornell, that money has been paid for by Reliance and Tata. At Tufts, the university paid the multi-million dollars that went in. So that's where I am right now in my journey. That's where Dexterity is right now in this journey. But what is more important is, what is this journey? So here's what my vision of this journey looks like. And that gets into youth empowerment. That gets into leadership. That gets into public service and nation building. So let's talk some fiery stuff here. I was so quiet all along. But yeah, here's the thing, basically. Why do I do this? There was no need for me to turn down Harvard and come back to India. There was no need for me to leave the high-paying jobs that I could have done in big corporations here in this country or big corporations in the United States. But I did it because it may not be popular, it is important. It may not be popular to leave Harvard, but it is important to come back and continue engaging. So part of the reason why I did that was, for 4 years, first I was a high school student and a CEO, and then I was a college student and a CEO. Good things have happened in that time span. In those 8 years, as a high school student and a CEO, I received multiple UN awards. As a college student and a CEO, I was actually the first one in my college that is actually, right now there are prime ministers and presidents across the world who come from my college, and the chief of JP Morgan. JP Morgan, anybody? Yeah, Jamie Dimon is from Tufts. So these are very cool people. But I was the first kid in the history of my college to make it to the Forbes 30 under 30 while I was still in college. So good things have happened. One thing that I am the most proud of was that in 160 years of my university history, I was the first Indian to deliver the graduation address. I stood up and said what I believed in. That was that the true responsibility of carrying the vision and the work and the legacy of the important and the significant and the influential people of the world lies with our generation. We are the millennials. There are some of you who are sitting here who are not satisfied with one Snapchat filter. You want the next one. There are some of you who have grown up looking at so many options. You go to Big Bazaar, you shop at different places, and leave aside Big Bazaar and other places. You shop online, swiping left and right between what you like and what you don't like. And when it comes to leadership, when it comes to crisis, when it comes to problems, how much you swipe left and right? How many options you try and gaze at? You are young entrepreneurs who in this country, when you decided that there was no place to shop online, you built this country's first e-commerce platform. When you see that there are no options in leadership, or when you see that in your own local community there are problems, why do you not just build a solution yourself? So I'm inviting this entire generation to be a solution-building generation, not a complaining generation. So I meet a lot of people a number of times who were sometimes unhappy, saying that, oh, you got into social work? I was like, why is that a bad thing? Some people say, oh, but leadership and stuff, this is very political in some nature. I said, no, this is very national in nature. So let's accept the truth. We may come from different states, but when something bad happens to us, we say there was some politics that was done to us. Let's build a nation. When something good happens to us, we should say politics happened to us. Because politics is largely understanding the problems of the people, coming up with solutions that can hopefully address those problems, bringing that into legislation that the elected representatives of people can vote on, and finally implement that people, as Mr. Patel, who's here, they can go ahead and actually implement. And for that process, you need smart people everywhere. I was in Surat last evening, talking to over 800 young people who had come from different parts of the city. And this is something that I said, and I really want to borrow my words from yesterday, so that I can truly emphasize why it is so important for youth today to understand and embrace the ideas of Swami Vivekananda, values that he stood for. Because remember, this is the first generation that will have to harness the power of nuclear energy on one side and fight for nuclear disarmament on the other. This is the first generation that will have to send more of its citizens to work as we continue to bring more robots to work. This is the first generation that will have to fight both rising sea levels and rising intolerance. This is the first generation that will have to continue to detoxify the air that we breathe in and the conversations we have. We are that generation that will have to look as much inwards as we'll have to look outwards and truly embrace things, ideas, opinions, and people. So the responsibility of young people in this country at this point in time are larger than they were ever before. And I do not just say it in a sense of responsibility, but even if you look at the numbers, the time is now. You hear everybody in this country and around the world talk about a young India. 65% of our population today is under the age of 35, and every single person who wants to truly emphasize the power of this great nation quotes that number. But imagine in 2035, if out of these 65% people, as data suggests, 32% are still illiterate, a significant percent still drop out, a majority percent who go to high school get out with skills that are not applicable in real world and graduate college with skills that are redundant and walk into workplaces with skill sets that are not even required or lacking skill sets that are so crucial. Where will this young power go? And saying this may not be popular, but it is important. That's the reason why back in your homes, back in your classrooms, in your universities and schools, in whatever capacity you're working, you need to work with your kids to build the 21st century skill set. And that skill set will have to evolve every single day. You may be young or you may be old. You communicate using WhatsApp. You don't write letters anymore. Pretty much the same way, whether you're young or you're old, the job skills, the workplace skills, the nation-building skills will have to evolve to the next level. And that is a role that you and I will have to play together every single day. And some of the skills that I can point out right now that are important are skills of critical thinking. Let your kids think critically. I often emphasize that we have tremendous debates. We love to talk sometimes. We have debates about issues that bother us. But those debates are largely focused on individuals. Go back and record the last 5 conversations that you had and think about it. If they were related to any issue, where did they end? Did they end with that issue? Or did they actually get into individuals and got lost? Or did they just end at individuals? And some of the times what is happening today is that critical thinking, critical in a word, in the word in itself, sounds like a negative word to a lot of people when it is not. So when we work with kids, we ask them to be critical. So have critical thinking skills. So here's what we do. We give them situations, and I invite you to do similar things. Give them a very simple situation. Say, just pick any issue that is bothering you right now, or any issue that you would want to know more about. Just throw an issue. Any debate-worthy issue? Okay, Swachh Bharat. Very good. Now some people in their minds already said there's no need to have a debate on Swachh Bharat. But ask your kids, no, that's true. Some of you said it, but internally. But ask your kids to write a note that says why it is so important and why it should be done. And then ask them to write another note. And tell them, okay, no matter what you believe, try and find out why it's not important or why it's not working. Okay? So one can be a why it's important note where you talk about why it's important. The other note you talk about why it's not important. Okay? What's working, what's not working. Okay? So let them write the notes from both ends and then ask them to finally put it together and balance it, so that we truly build a generation that understands issues and is willing to get into the details of those issues. Because remember, I may be opposed to you and you may be opposed to me, but my saying that is a ditch will not make it a ditch. It will still be a floor. You'll still walk through it. But your saying that ditch is still a floor, and if that is a ditch, will not stop you from falling into it. No matter how opposed we were in ideologies, you're truly holding it to your heart will not enable you to walk through that ditch, okay? And please don't give me an example of faith here, that okay, if you have the faith, you can walk through a ditch. No, sometimes you don't. Let's be real practical here. There are so many more kids in this country who we need to send to school. We need to really, really fix our health care. We need to make sure that people across this country have faith in our government schools and in our government hospitals. Because I'm somebody who loves to talk to people. And I meet people who pull rickshaws. I meet people who drive cars and cabs, and I talk to them. I have very genuine conversations with them about what their challenges look like. Because one of the greatest part of your education is understanding that you don't understand everything. And the idea of an expert is somebody who understands everything. No, you don't. So, in this process, I talk to people, and there are very beautiful examples that I'll tell you. 4 weeks back, I was in Mumbai. I was in a cab, and I was talking to the cab driver, and we engaged in a conversation about, so he was born in 1942. So I told him that you pretty much saw every single prime minister in this country. Who's your favorite? Some of you. No, he really likes Prime Minister Modi. He said that the prime minister I admired the most was Lal Bahadur Shastri. And he said, I actually skipped meals when he invited this nation to skip meals because I really trusted the genuine integrity of that person. Now, when you hear that, you know that people can leave their meals for politicians. People can leave their meals for leaders. Those are qualities that you need to understand. So a lot of other people who I talk to tell me, and from what I understand from our conversations is, I'll tell you a situation in Bihar, to be very specific. I meet people who are pretty much daily wagers, who run on a very small income. And when they have to send their kids to school, you know what they do? They wait for a little bit, take a few small loans, pool their money together, and then they send their kid either to the nearest private school or to a coaching institute. Because even the poorest have lost trust in your government school system in some states. You cannot put several million kids in this country through school if your government school system is not fixed. There are people who would rather be brought in dead to a hospital, who dread that if they go into a government hospital, they would come out dead. So they're like, I would rather go in dead to a private hospital in a few hours later than go into a government hospital immediately. And this is the ground reality in a lot of states. So those are problems that we need to fix. And who will fix it? The time is gone for a lot of people who are like already in position. They can work for the next 10, 15 years. But some of these things will take a lot of time. But more importantly, it will take a lot of people. So here's what I'm inviting young people to do. Truly understand one issue. Find that issue that you're most passionate about and build a career in that issue. If healthcare is what you're really passionate about, become a good doctor. Become a good public health professional. You do not always need to be a doctor in order to help fix healthcare. You can be on the policy side. You can just look at public health. You can work towards the public health awareness side. To understand one core issue and gain your expertise in that field, build your experience in that field, and then engage in that field. Today what we want to do, and that's the reason why sometimes we are very disappointed and very frustrated, is that we engage without expertise. We engage without the idea of building a 360-degree experience. So if you want to be in the world of technology, and if you want to build the next artificial intelligence thing that will allow our young boys and girls in small slums across this country to learn better, talking to a teacher who will be on a phone, engage in that this day onwards. If you're passionate about space science, and if you truly want to be the one who will land our flag on Mars, engage in that since day one. So whichever field it is, gain your expertise. Experience engagement in issue of your choice, because there's something that truly moves you, you'll never get out of it. There are more people today in this country who are doing things that they don't love and loving things that they don't do, and that is not a good thing. So tomorrow, so a lot of kids who I meet who really want to become a chartered accountant because their mommy told them that their mamaji was also a chartered accountant. I asked them, have you ever been to a chartered accountant, like a CA's office? Go sit there for a day. Try and shadow a CA and ask yourself if this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, right? And if you do not see yourself doing that, don't do it, right? So, one of the things why I do what I do today, very simple idea. Ever since I was a small child and I started getting a feeling that if I work hard, I can do something, I really asked myself that what is one problem that I'll solve? And I personally realized that one option is I go and solve one problem and maybe solve it successfully or not solve it successfully. But then I looked at my skill set and I thought that the opportunities that I have had, and I was very lucky to have those opportunities. If I did not read those newspapers, and if I did not land a full scholarship, if I did not get the kind of education, if I was just born in a different family where the father decided that no, you stay in the villages where I stay and don't do anything, that would have been a very different story. So I was very lucky to stand, and very honestly, a lot of us are not just hardworking or talented. We are also very lucky to get the opportunities that we got. So I realized that the skill sets that I was able to acquire, with these skill sets, instead of solving one problem, I can go out and build a generation of leaders who will actually truly lead in different fields, music and art, technology and leadership. Wherever they go, they can create an impact. And that was something that I cared the most about, so I started doing what I do today. And I'm inviting you to look at that way and go ahead and build careers in what you really care about. Because remember, the basic of business is the basic of public service. If you deliver value, you get value. So if you build a good product, if you sell a good phone, you get the money for it. Okay? Likewise, wherever you are in the world, if you're delivering value, remember you will not die a pauper. Okay? One of the most inspirational people on the planet, right here, never had to really think of where will the money come from. You do the thing. Don't think about where will the money come from. If you're doing something, if you're solving a real problem, you'll be able to build a solution around it. So please go ahead and do that, the engagement, experience, and expertise part. But here's what I want to add to that. Add two major qualities. One is of empathy. Please do not look at people as, oh, this poor guy, he doesn't have anything, so I'll give him something. Okay? That is a very bad approach to doing things. Unfortunately, the fascination and the glamour that has come around social work, where people are engaging in social work today, that has given our kids a very bad message. I see a lot of small kids getting pictures clicked with everybody else, and if it was in a way that, okay, these are all my brothers and sisters and we are hanging out, I would love it. But some of you know what I'm talking about. So when you are really working with people, understand that this guy who's washing dishes in Humphrey Davy's lab today can be Michael Faraday tomorrow. That's right. This guy who is in Rameshwaram today and is somehow surviving will be the next president of this country tomorrow. That's what public service looks like. That's what nation building looks like. That's what enabling looks like. And that's the reason why at Dexterity we have a need-blind financial policy, a financial aid policy, where we have a very simple message that says, if you can pay, you pay, else we pay for you. So everything is covered. But nobody ever gets to know who has paid and who hasn't, including me. So on the 11th Dex School starts, I do not know which kid is on a full scholarship and which kid could afford to pay, so that kid paid. Those are qualities that we'll need to build, and those qualities will come in only when you are able to put yourself in the shoes of someone else. And that's the reason why if you have young kids at home, or if you yourself are somebody who's still in your 20s or maybe even early 30s, go out and talk to people and understand their stories, their life. Because if you start talking to people and if you engage in their own unique perspectives, you'll be able to understand that this nation is not a country of 1.2 billion people, or this much percentage this and that much percentage that. We are a unique collection of stories and ideas and dreams that have always come together. And that's the reason why when I talked about India, I said we are an idea as big as we are a nation. So we are stories coming together. We are experiences coming together. Somebody living in Boston who gets goosebumps when I talk about Swami Vivekananda there is as Indian as you are. So remember, in this entire spirit, let's come together and see people as people and not as problems, not as percentages. Because only then we'll truly realize the true power and potential of this nation. Remember one fact that I want to leave you with, and that is that the global population of people under the age of 30 is 50%. 50% of the world today is under the age of 30. The global representation of young people in parliaments across the world is 2%. So 2% people represent 50% people. So remember your Internet Privacy Acts, your broadband plans, your 5G plans, your nuclear weapons, your nuclear disarmament, your harnessing the power of solar and wind. These things are going to be done by people who are already in their late 70s. Okay? So one thing if I can leave you today with here in Baroda is, if you ever get the opportunity to run for people who you truly believe in and who truly believe in you, if you ever believe that you've built, but remember, build that expertise in politics. And expertise in politics is not lying, it is understanding. Okay? So build that expertise, grow your own experience, engage with people, and then if you truly believe in a particular constituency, in a particular group of people, then truly work with them. And the day you believe that they believe in you back, please be seen on the electronic voting machines in this country. Being seen on magazines and newspaper front pages is not cool anymore for this young generation. You can be on the front page of a magazine and newspaper every single day. But if you're not the face of the EVM in this country, the leadership that Swami Vivekananda truly imagined for this great country, he used to say that if we get 100 good leaders, we'll build a great nation. We have 500 leaders in the parliament today. That's 5 times goodness, right? But my goodness, that's not true. So go ahead and make sure that the same charisma that you have, the same excitement and energy and enthusiasm and love and dedication that you have for this country and its countrymen, translate that into public service, take that to public office, get elected to office, move us forward as a nation, and make sure that we can all truly build together that India that Swami Vivekananda dreamt of, the forefathers of our constitution dreamt of, and every single person around the world who sees this country as a great country dreams of when they talk about India. Let's come together and build a great nation. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The only word that we can use is fantastic. Fantastic speech. Fantastic speech by a fantastic emerging leader of the nation. Well, he is only 24 years old. Many more things to follow. Swami Vivekananda said, go forward. And we wish and pray that you go forward in your life's journey and inspire so many others as you are inspiring people all over the world. And we can now verify what Swami Vivekananda said, India is rising. I can see through my divine eyes, India is rising and nobody can stop that rising. Sometimes when we see the newspapers, we feel, I think Swami Vivekananda's vision is not right. But when we see the youngsters like that, yes, that India is rising. Fantastic memory. Well, when he told me this story in Surat when I came on 12 January 2017, he said, I was 5 years old and I took autograph from you. I said, you see, we all monks look alike in Ramakrishna Mission. All having that optics and all that. You must have confused because I do not remember to have given autograph to a boy of 5 years. Yes, 17, 15 years when I give my book along with that, sometimes I give autograph, but not to a boy. So I think you are mistaken. Then he took out from his pocket my autograph, then I was stunned. You got it?
Today I don't have it. I knew that he would not believe it.
So he showed me. He showed me my autograph. So I had to stop. Anyway, so he has got that. He had got that energy, that type of eagerness. I was talking to the youth in Chapra. I know that in 1998 I had gone to Chapra. I used to go to Chapra every year because I was connected with Chapra because I was in Ranchi for 10 years. So I was instrumental in starting a center in Chapra. I went many times and I addressed many youth conventions. So that is quite natural, and I used to give my book Atma Vishwas to give to them, and sometimes give the autograph. To that extent it's okay. But I never remembered a boy of 5 years will also, in his one small paper, would get the autograph and would one day in a public meeting show it to me and show that my autograph being given to him has not gone in vain, and he heard the speech at that time on Swami Vivekananda has not gone in vain, and he is still reading the books of Swami Vivekananda. I have told him, you have to go forward. You already come forward a lot, but still Swami Vivekananda said, go forward, arise, awake and out till the goal is reached. So he has followed my advice. He is revising now the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Already it is there in his mobile now. It has come in his mobile and he is going to revise it, and I am very sure that he is going to move forward in his life, going to inspire so many people. We are very happy. We are only sorry that we could not bring in more people because the short notice, and also the vacations going on and the schools and colleges are closed. So we request him to come again when we have a little larger platform, more number of people. Of course, we have made it a live telecast through live stream, so many people all over the world are watching it. I just now recently had been to South Africa and Africa and some of the countries. So they were very eager. I have made it live stream. So at present, people are watching all over the world. But next time when we will have a speech in a little larger platform. So now that the time is a little short, we are a little behind schedule, I would request Mr. Patel to say a few words rather than going for question answer session, what we are doing, because that will be also very interesting. But what I'm thinking is that let Mr. Patel say a few words, let us have a chairperson's speech, and then we can, those who want to leave, they may leave, and those who still want to have interaction, I have requested Sharad to interact with you, so that other people, they want to leave, they live. So before we close this session, I would request Mr. Patel to say a few words on this occasion. Just a few words.
Good evening to everyone, the dignitaries on the dais and friends. Actually, I landed here by a chance. I saw a newspaper like he was also going through a newspaper. So the thing is that my request to Sharad is that wherever youth has gone wrong, they are required to be channelized. We all talk about the young nation. We are having 65% of the young population. But looking to the present trend, we find that the youths are required to be channelized, and that is the great task. So, to my mind, this country has two things that is unique that you will never find anywhere. We have one of the best brains, and second, we have one of the best natural resources. So, when the country has these two things, I think there is no much now time to reach to a level of a superpower, and it is in the hands of a young people. And the people like Sharad, there are a number of such talented people that they have got this kind of energy. Only thing is that they should be channelized properly. And I think in today's world, as he mentioned, that usage of ICT is not, it should not confine to a thing where it diverts your whole energy and everything. Actually, why I am telling you, because he emphasized again on expertise, engagement and commitment. These are very important things. So once again, I am quite delighted that I was associated and had a quite long session of Mr. Sharad. I wish him all the best, and only the people like you, as he rightly mentioned, over the years even I also share the same things. After independence, where we have gone wrong. We have not a good leaders, and the good people, they have become self-centered and they are not coming, as he mentioned rightly, the leadership is not only in a politics but everywhere. But in a democratic setup, the legislature is one of the important part. That is also equally important. So with this, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patel. And now I would request the chairperson, Srimati Tejal Amin, to give her chairperson's remarks.
Wow, that was some lecture, right, all of you? And any words after this bright young man's life and work so far in 24 years would be like pouring water over a stone. He's done it, he's shown the way. And Swami Vivekananda's prophecy 150 years ago that India will lead the world seems to be possible now when you hear people like young Sharad and know about the work they are doing. And what inspired him, as he says, looking and reading those quotes of Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramhans every day as a ritual. All of us are parents, most of us are parents here today. And my message, not my message, but what I'm taking home today is how important it is to have a strong anchor, a strong mooring, as it were, in the wisdom of the leaders, spiritual leaders, and iconic leaders that India has produced. It is the Ramakrishna mission that has inspired so many young people, and all of us also who are here today, still getting inspired through the works of Swami Nikhileshwaranandji and monks like him, who continue to give us the spiritual message, the strength of spirituality, which is probably our country's most prized asset. Dr. Patel Sahib spoke about natural resources and intellect of the population of the country. But according to me also, the spiritual strength that our nation has, the people have, which is the legacy of leaders and saints like Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramhans, which is now manifesting in the form of leaders, future leaders like Sharad. Sharad spoke about scalability. At a young age, he looked at opportunities, worked hard to create opportunities, and an ability to scale up to thousands and lakhs and millions, which he has achieved through Dexterity Global, so many initiatives of Dexterity Global. My question to him would be, yes, we are living in a world which requires a new skill set. Peter Drucker, the famous management thinker and guru and author, had said about a decade ago that we need a new mindset, skill set, and tool set if we are to be fruitfully engaged in the 21st century world, and also to find our growth and development. Nobody talks of success. He doesn't talk of success. Success becomes a byproduct. If we grow and develop as individuals, as groups, as a society, success is a natural byproduct of it. Happiness and growth are more important. How can we become part of Dexterity Global sitting here in Vadodara? The other thing that you said is about personal mission and passion. You know, not a complaining generation, but a solution finding and a solution providing generation. So true. The positivity that we need to inculcate in our young people is a huge challenge today. I run schools and a university and engage with young people on a daily basis. When the world is full of incidences and violence, negativity, which are challenging, you know, our oft-repeated values of universal truth, non-violence, goodness, honesty, how do you convince the young people that there is still goodness and virtue in doing what you think is right, when around them we see people who are succeeding with everything being done wrongly? So how do we deal with such challenges? How did you get motivated? Yes, you had a very unique upbringing and childhood, and probably that is what shaped you, like you have said, plus the Ramakrishna mission influence on you and your family. Everybody is not so fortunate. So how do we bring that aspect into our schools? Value-based education, and like you said, no complaints. I personally, again, thanks to our influence of the Ramakrishna mission and Swami Vivekananda's philosophy and teachings, no complaints. At Navratna Education Society, we run a school for children of less privileged homes, children for slum children in the main school itself. We run a school for training and skilling girls from BPL families, and so on and so forth. No complaints. We are in education. If we can educate other children at the level of Navrachna, we do our little bit. But you have fortunately scaled up. And if there are ways of us, Baroda, getting connected with Dexterity Global in a more meaningful manner, in a more real world manner, and not just through the internet, we would be very, very happy to start a chapter. You have the Dexter Net, you have the Dexter Challenge, you have the D2C, and so many other initiatives. So if there is something we can do, Swamiji, through the Ramakrishna Mission and all of us together, let us have students of, you have kind of blown me away. I will not say the world right now, but I'll say Vadodara and Gujarat, who can participate more meaningfully in the schemes that you are, that you already have. And what else did I want to? I had another one point. Yes, you have to come back to Baroda again, maybe at Navrachna's convocation, universities. And yes, as Swamiji said, share your life and your work so far and inspire young people that if you can do it at the age of 24, they too can do it. And also reinforce the faith of parents like us that good grounding in spirituality is also as equally important as going forward in the world where technology and innovation are racing so far ahead that we have difficulty in keeping pace with it. Our spirituality, our mooring in our ancient values, which are, like you said, universal, is what will propel us forward. I am convinced that there are better times in India because we have people like Sharad, Vivek, Sagar. Thank you, Swamiji, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Tejalben. That's a brilliant idea. The global organization of Sharad can come to Vadodara through Navrachna International. Global coming to international. That would be very nice. And Ramakrishna Mission would become the bridge. We will be very happy to be the bridge between global and international. So that is a brilliant idea, and we would have more opportunities here to discuss about the innovation and education, channelizing the youth energy that Mr. Patel told, and bringing the positivity in the youths, and building up the India of Swami Vivekananda's dream through these young upcoming leaders. All these things are pending. So we are extremely thankful to Chairperson Srimati Tejalben Amin for sparing her very valuable time. You know, she is so busy. She has got so many things in hand, and yet she spared the time because she loves us, she loves Ramakrishna Mission, and she is in one way our follower also. So we are extremely thankful to her for sparing the time, and we believe that we will have more such instances when her presence will be here. We are also thankful to Mr. Patel. At instant notice, he himself telephoned that I am incidentally here in Baroda. I said, then you please walk in. And he has walked in, and he has given his very valuable speech. So we are thankful to Mr. Patel. And Sharad, you are our own child. From the age of 5 years, you are with us. You will be continuing to be with us. And this is the first visit to Baroda, but not the last. First, it is the beginning and not the end of the visits. And we believe that very soon we will be having a bigger platform when we will be making use of your enthusiasm, your wisdom at such a young age, and that invigorating, inspiring speech from you. So we, in Gujarati, we say, Aujo. We say, please come again. We don't say go. So tomorrow he is going to Delhi on to Patna, but we are telling him once again to come. and then inspire some more number of people. We are also thankful to all of you for sparing your valuable time and giving a very, very passionate hearing. Not only that, an involvement also, the enthusiasm that you showed, we are extremely thankful to you, and we request you to continue to come here. As I told you, we have many, many activities going on there. Every evening we have prayer and meditation, which you can join, open to all. Every Sunday we have discourses, morning Gita, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and evening 7:30 to 8:30 is the gospel. Then there are so many programs going on every day. You can also become a member of our public library. You can take home the books or the DVDs and all that. So we would like you to have your association. Please continue to come here, take benefit of all these activities. We are going to have spiritual retreat and ongoing, so many programs are ongoing. You can get the details from the information brochure that is available in the table there. And if you want that all our activities should be, all our programs should be told to you, you can fill up the form later on, and the mailing list form you can fill up and continue to come. So now we are coming to the end of the program. We are with the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna Ma Sharada Devi and Swami Vivekanand, we are coming to the end of the program, and we believe that Sharad has